Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. I have two articles for you in this episode. Both the URLs are in the description of this video for your convenience. The first one I have here is off of USDefenseWatch.com, and it says World War IV, Globalism versus Nationalism. The West is teetering on the edge of a world war right now, whether it is another Cold War like the one that lasted from 1945 to 1991 and can be theoretically considered to be World War III, or a series of running skirmishes will be determined in the next year. World War IV will not be a battle between nation states, which are such as World War I, World War II, and the Cold War, but a war involving various factions within the nation states themselves in North America and Western Europe. It will be a world war between those who believe in nationalism, populism, and freedom versus leftists and anarchists who stand for Big Brother, open borders, national suicide, cultural decay, and the destruction of free speech. The nationalists. President Trump is without a doubt not only the leader of a populist movement in the United States, but the de facto spokesman for anyone who believes in liberty and denounces the evil and slavery of globalism across the world. Trump is now the #1 target of the global elite, the deep state, the DC establishment, and the corporate liberal media. In the United Kingdom, Nigel Farage is a modern-day Braveheart, taking on Big Brother tyranny of the European Union and the globalist elite planted firmly in the British government at all levels. It was Farage's magnetic personality and unbridled determination that motivated Britons to vote for Brexit and to deal a death blow to the EU and its octopus stranglehold on the UK. Marine Le Pen's National Front is the populist reaction to the insanity of the unlimited Muslim immigration into Western Europe and France, and the subsequent meek reaction by the Holland government to the continuous onslaught of radical Islamic terrorism. If Le Pen wins, the EU is doomed. Pray for Le Pen. Pray for the death of the EU and every facet of bureaucratic tyranny and globalism it represents. Vive la liberté. The globalist, the global and political elite are determined to destroy America and the West through their policies of open borders, outsourced economics, or try this again, outsourced economies, world government, and lunatic political correctness as a defense against violent Islamic extremism. In order for the global elite to win, Mr. Trump and everything he stands for must be destroyed. The globalist current strategy to annihilate President Trump is a death by 1,000 cuts. Mr. Trump must be impeached or taken down through a constant series of political machinations, media fabrications, and Soviet-style Maskarova disinformation from deep state traitors within the intelligence community. If that doesn't work, the globalists may even attempt a violent coup d'etat, as they successfully did on November the 22nd in 1963. The willing executioners of the globalists are the myriad of liberal politicians across the Northern Hemisphere. In the U.S., Democrats are completely unhinged, and with an army of ideological zealots and funding from billionaires, George Soros, they will continue to attack the president, malign his leadership, and most certainly attempt to impeach him. In Sweden and Germany, governments completely ignore the cries from their citizens to stem the tide of unvetted, unlimited Muslim immigration. Furthermore, the Swedish and German governments continue to cover up crimes committed by Muslim migrants, and most disturbingly, prosecute Swedish and German citizens who seek to tell the truth about the dangers of Islam in Europe. At their disposal, the globalists have an array of delusional snowflakes, radical anarchists, militant feminists, Marxists, and violent agitators to utilize at a moment's notice. Groups like BLM, SER, La Raza, and Indivisible, the group responsible for causing chaos at the GOP town halls, are all on the payroll of George Soros. The agritop arm of the Democrats and liberal governments worldwide is the globalist corporatist mainstream media, which is working hand in glove with politicians. Marxist agitators and radical terrorist groups like Black Lives Matter take down Mr. Trump, Mr. Farage, and Ms. Le Pen. CNN, the BBC, ZDF in Germany, and ORF in Austria are not just the opposition. They have become the enemy of everyone who believes in national sovereignty. The puppets of the global elite are scattered across the world. Trudeau in Canada, Holland in France, Merkel in Germany, and her probable successor from the alt-left SPD Socialist Party of Germany, Martin Schulz. Schulz is so far to the left, he makes Merkel look like the reincarnation of John Birch. The coming fight. Where is all the unhinged emotion and violence of the left in the USA heading? What is the complete disregard for safety of its own citizens in Sweden and Germany and France brewing? In the US, it's only a matter of time before violent anarchists backed by Soros battle on college campuses, at town halls, and in the streets with right-wing patriots, bikers, and vets who have simply had enough of left-wing vandalism, assaults on Trump supporters, and crushing of free speech. In the US, it's only a matter of time before BLM thugs are in full-on war with America's police. In the US, it's only a matter of time before pro-illegal immigration activists are in the street malaise with Americans who only desire that those who wish to come here do so legally. In Europe, it is only a matter of time before irate populations in Sweden, Germany, and France finally rise up against the politically correct liberals, destroying their lives, and the Muslim criminals and terrorists who have turned what once was some of the safest places on earth into the third world war zones. It's only a matter of time before forces of nationalism and globalism clash. The chances for a Cold War solution are minimal at best. The left is unhinged. Muslim crime in Europe is out of control. Political correctness politicians are intent on continuing open border policies regardless of the consequences. The globalists will not stop until the ashes of their twisted ideology are scattered to the corners of this planet. It is simply a matter of physics. For every action, there is a reaction. The right's reaction is coming. The next article that I have for you is off of countdownzerotime.com. And it says, Trump's new target, the WTO. Globalists are furious, saying Trump ready to rip up post-war order. This could be the end for them. Recognizing the evil intent of the world leaders, there should be no doubt that there is a powerful hidden source that controls world events, economy, the media, and agenda of the world governments. They control the world through key organizations and trade agreements agreed upon by bought and paid politicians. The World Trade Organization, otherwise known as the WTO, was created January the 1st of 1995, and it has been a source of controversy ever since. The birth of the WTO was more of a continuation than a truly new creation. Its predecessor, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, called GATT, shared its lineage with Bretton Woods-inspired bodies like the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, and the World Bank. The idea behind these organizations is that impartial politicians could create a more efficient global economy than the chaotic interaction of the free market forces. The WTO sets the global rules of trade, but what exactly does it do, and why do so many oppose it? Trump administration in shift against free trade signals desire to opt out of conflict resolution mechanisms of the World Trade Organizations. A quarter century after the Cold War ended, the U.S. may finally be taking a first tentative step back toward a trade and economic system which is more traditional to it. This, in the sweep of the U.S. history that could well turn out to be the Trump administration's main purpose, which would explain why it was elected. To the horror of globalists, socialists, and communists or internationalists everywhere, Donald Trump's trade policies is real, and it is hugely it hugely matters. But because international trade appears complicated, the media barely touches the subject, and this is because the system is so corrupt and causes so much unbalance and unfair trade deals to the West, as well as crippling many third world economies, not in the loop like China. For the globalist dominated media, it is better to not report on it, if possible, to the masses. Globalists are furious at what is now transpiring, and if they can not get rid of Trump either through assassination, disruption, through protests, or political means like impeachment, they will be dragged kicking and screaming to the exit doors, one by one, of what they have come to regard as sacred institutions of satanic power. Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, called the TTIP, leaked documents revealed that there are sinister agendas behind the trade agreements. Below are some excerpts from the new different websites about the TTIP. These excerpts reveal a small percentage of what the psychopathic globalists want to do to humanity. JohnRappaport.wordpress.com lists these. And it says, these globalist trade deals, something's going awry here. There we go. There we go. These globalist trade deals are indeed exercises in eliminating nations and turning over the economy of the world to mega corporations. For example, as The Independent reported, what is TTP and 6 reasons why the answer should scare you, which was posted on 10/6 of 2015. The TTIP embodies investor-state dispute settlements called the ISDS, whereby corporations can sue governments when their profits are endangered. For instance, Monsanto could sue the EU for refusing to accept the import of GMO foods and crops, thereby enabling a Monsanto end run around Europe's tight restrictions on GMOs. RT.com writes, though the media's lack of interest in the subject is not shared by millions of people who voted for Trump or people around the world in poorer countries for whom it is an issue of vital importance. Bill Clinton to Barack Obama will probably come to be seen as the heyday of globalization, with the world retreating thereafter. Old world trade system, which is actually far more historically typical of how the world trade has normally operated. Trump keeping election promises again. Donald Trump has put together a team of people to run his trade policy whose views differ markedly from those of the accepted globalist orthodoxies. Wilbur Ross, his pick for Commerce Secretary, and Peter Navarro, his pick to lead the new Nation Trade Council in the White House, are known economic nationalists, as is Robert Lighthizer, his pick for U.S. representative to the World Trade Organization. The country that is widely seen as most threatened by the change of U.S. trade policy is China. Ross is expected to be confirmed as the Commerce Secretary shortly, whilst Navarro is outspoken critic of the U.S.'s trade relationship with China, and Lighthizer is a longstanding advocate and defender of interests in the U.S. steel industry. It has now been confirmed that the Trump administration has instructed Lighthizer to look for ways for the U.S. to opt out of trade disputes resolution procedures of the World Trade Organization, the body that has been set up to regulate world trade. This is a potentially highly important development. The World Trade Organization's dispute resolution procedure lies at the heart of the existing globalist world trade system and the monopoly huge corporations have had for a very long time. If the U.S., the keystone of the world economy and the country whose currency is used in the great bulk of international trade transactions, distances itself from it, then the whole globalist economic agenda will start to go into reverse. Now, this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning. Sir Winston Churchill's speech in November of 1942, and you can click on that. It says, click Winston Churchill, now we are masters of our fate speech. And then there's an insert here that says the DNC still rotten to the core. Immediately after a new DNC leader picked, WikiLeaks exposed him for political wrongdoing and corruption. Sanders supporters going berserk. Trump is delighted. So if you want to read more on that, you can click that article that will take you, or that URL will take you there to that article. So that's a little bonus for you in this. And I'll have more on him later in one of my episodes coming up here in a little while. But I thought that you would enjoy these two articles, and if you like what I'm doing here, give this a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. That way you'll stay informed.